There you go.
Okay,
Work.
so we're now recording and I have no idea how to do the.
Maybe Auden can put it on YouTube once it's been recorded.
Okay, there you go. All right, so we are returning from closed session, and Gary, do we have anything to report out of closed session?
No reportable action on the closed session.
Great, thank you. All right, we are going to go to, we're now starting open session, and we're going to start with the consent agenda.
Move for approval.
And it's been moved. Can I get a second?
Second.
Oh, great, thank you. And are there any members of the public who would like to speak on the consent agenda? Seeing no hands raised, I will ask Ms. Joanne if you can do roll, please.
Yes, President Jones,
That sounded so official. Thank
Mason Slugger,
Here.
Rich Constantine,
Aye.
Margaret Abacoga,
Hey.
and Marita Seiko.
I'm here.
We're,
and
we were voting on the consent calendar,
Right.
right?
Yes,
Yes.
and that was Rich and Margaret, correct? Moved in second.
Yes.
Nisa, I think they said.
No, it was Nisa. That's correct. Nisa was the
Nisa?
second.
Okay.
All right. So next is the April 14th meeting agenda. And so we have the proposed agenda, obviously, is the consent agenda, the consent agenda items. Consideration and approval of the Cities Association fiscal year 22-23 budget. And the local control items of interest, vaccines, testing, and masks as we transition from pandemic to endemic. And we're going to have Dr. Sarah Cody present, as well as Tomas Aragon, who's with the State of California Department of Public Health. And then the next item would be climate change, local climate action, the 5-year clean energy and results and immediate next steps. And that's going to be presented by Silicon Valley Clean Energy. And then the Legislative Action Committee report. And then the city manager's report, executive director report, and then joys and challenges, which I still prefer just joys, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway, so those are the items on the main agenda. Do we have any questions? Lisa?
President Jones, I thought we were going to discuss hybrid or return to in-person meetings at this meeting.
It's item 5.
Yes, item 5.
Actually,
So-
so I guess it's only
not-
on your agenda. It's only on your.
Exactly. I am referring
To
to
the main agenda?
the board agenda for next Thursday. I didn't see it on that agenda.
So if, when we have a motion, Nisa, if you can add that to the agenda, that'd be greatly appreciated. And we can slot it in into the agenda.
Happy to, President Jones. I move that we add a discussion regarding hybrid meetings or continue Zoom meetings only to the Board of Directors April 14th meeting agenda.
Have a motion?
And I will second that with the discussion.
All right. And then Rich, you have your hand up?
Yes, so do we have a venue? I do know that that was going back and forth where we were trying to find a venue. Do we have a venue where we can hold the meetings in a hybrid setting?
We have not landed on a specific venue yet. I mean, there's always, we can meet at San Jose City Hall. We're looking at other venues as well, but we have
Well,
not landed on it
we
yet.
also, Nisa said that she was looking into Los Altos Community Room. And I did look into Sunnyvale, but they don't have exactly the facility. We can't be in the old conference room. It doesn't have the ability to Zoom there.
And we can't go in the chambers because they can't move the chairs around.
Right. And so I also reached out to Darcy Paul at Cupertino, but he said he'd look into it and I haven't heard back.
Okay. So that's
So
the answer to your question.
if I could ask for a friendly amendment and add to speak about location as well as meeting, because I don't think we can have meetings if we don't have a location in that. We probably should agendize that as a talking point. Otherwise, we won't be able to talk about it.
As the maker of the motion, I accept that amendment. I imagine that as part of our executive team discussion, we would discuss that for item 5 today. But I agree. I think whatever we decide as the executive team on item 5 today, that would carry forward to the full board. So I accept the amendment, but that's how I thought it would have flowed.
All right, is that satisfactory? All right. So we have a motion in a second. I see a hand raised. Liz?
Unmute. Can you hear me okay? Sorry, I
Loud-
had a great deal of difficulty getting into the meeting, so I apologize if I'm a little off base here. So specific to the agenda, I wanted to suggest that we put on the agenda a discussion of the new HCD regulations or guidelines, the HCD guidelines for SB 9 that came out this week. They appear to be quite substantive, and we may learn more, but I think it's important for a board discussion.
And Liz, would you give that presentation or who would?
I'm happy to, I'm getting a memo on it, and I'm happy to make the presentation on whatever I know by next Thursday, sure.
Okay, and how much time do you think you'd need?
It's informative, so 5 minutes maybe.
Okay. Well, thank you, Liz. Is the maker of the motion amenable or receptive to that, or need more discussion? Lisa?
So I'm open to amending my motion to also add that to the agenda. I was waiting to see if the executive team members had any questions or comments before I did that.
Okay.
If not, so amended.
Okay, are there any questions, comments? I don't see any hands, so is it all right with the seconder? Rich? All right, I see the big thumbs up. Hey Liz, congratulations. You won us over. Okay. Don't see other hands raised. We have a motion in a second. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Okay, I'm sorry, I wasn't able to join right on time back, but the seconder was,
Awesome time.
Fine.
I'll call the roll then. Abakoga,
I,
I, Constantine,
Aye.
I, Sayok,
Yes.
I, Flagger,
Yes.
I, and Jones.
Aye.
And Jones, I, with 5 ayes, the motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next item is the discussion of the general membership meeting on May 12th. And can we move Rania over to the panel so she can give us, she and Joanne can give us an update on the general meeting. Welcome, Rania.
Hello, everybody. So for the general membership meeting, the location proposed is the Winchester Mystery House in San Jose. And so we have, Joanne and I have already communicated with them, and it is available. As far as topic to address, Vice Mayor Jones had suggested identifying something that is uplifting, and I think more in relation to board development, kind of similar to what Erica Manuel did with the board. I think it was a couple months ago. I did invite her to come back. She's not available. So we are in search of a speaker and open to other suggestions or any input that you may have.
Thank you, Rania. Yeah. So we're all ears, team.
Like, is there a general theme you want so we can like try and narrow down what's joyful?
Well, and also I do just want to share too, the program will include a reception and then the dinner program, and then an hour for, you know, tours of the mystery house or axe throwing. So we're trying to keep it light and fun for folks.
Axe throwing?
Yes.
Like in the Old West.
Is that a good idea?
Is that a good idea with this group?
When you do it, they actually like spend about a half an hour with you just on all the things not to do.
Yeah, there is a lot of training involved.
So anyway, to answer the question about the joy or joyful, it's not so clearly defined. I just know that I would prefer to just have an event where it's uplifting and brings some joy. I keep coming back to joy. That's what I'm looking for. But I can't define it. I just know when I see it. So we want to plant the seeds. Obviously, you can, you know, get back to us if you have an epiphany, and maybe Nisa, you just had one. So
No, I have a suggestion. I'm not sure it will go over well, but before I make the suggestion, Rania, so could you go over the timing? So what time would it start? And
So,
how do you envision it happening?
Yeah, so it would begin at 6 p.m. So the reception would be 6 to 7. And we're planning to have, you know, hors d'oeuvres, drinks, and then 7 to 8 would be the dinner and program. And then 8 to 9 would be for networking, and then optional tours and axe throwing.
The idea, you know, to keep it light and fun, you know, is there a comedian that we want to invite, a political comedian? You think that would go over well with our group or no?
Actually, we did Rod Sinks' choir or a cappella group. Remember, they did they did something about politics, and it was actually funny.
yeah,
I think that's.
And he may be free.
And I think he would love to come back.
It would, yeah.
all right. Well, we'll add that to the suggestions.
Well, isn't it the Follies? Is that what they're called? With the Los Altos group. And yeah, they do that once the show every year. So I don't know if they could do a snippet of their next show, like a preview.
Yeah, I actually thought about Will Durst, but he had a stroke, and I understand he's not doing too well. But he's was a very good, or is a very good political comedian that's local. And anyway, so,
Liz put a suggestion in the chat too.
oh, okay. Oh, Liz, I see, director of WMH is a very good speaker. Could do New Orleans jazz band. Thank you, Liz. We'll include that as some suggestions. Thank you.
And the date is approaching, so save the date has been drafted and Joanne has it, I believe. Joanne, your plan is send that out soon, right?
I'm going to send it out right after this discussion tonight.
Okay, I guess as long as everyone's on board with the location and the proposed idea.
Yeah. And who knows, I might get.
I wanted to wait till after this discussion, obviously.
Yeah. Anyway, this is an informational item, but I see, Liz, you have your hand raised. Was that for your suggestion or do you have another comment?
Hi, thanks. I have a point of order and I apologize. I had a great deal of difficulty getting into the meeting. I had an item that I think probably belongs under oral requests. And I don't know where to put it in right now.
Okay. Can you hold, maybe hold that, Liz, till the end and
Sure.
we'll get back to you.
Sure.
Okay, thanks. All right. Again, that was for informational purposes only. Looking forward to those amazing suggestions. Next is a discussion on and direction for hybrid meetings, in person or Zoom, and Zoom, or continue Zoom meetings only. So, thoughts? I can tell you that I'm ready to meet in person. I know hybrid meetings have their challenges, but I think we can work through them and have in-person and hybrid meetings, or just go all in person. But I'm ready to see folks. And we're meeting at City Hall right now. And I know other cities and groups and organizations are meeting in person. So I think it's about that time. Marika?
And were you thinking, is this specific to executive board or to the full board or both? Oh,
I was thinking the full board.
okay.
Maybe the full board, the executive board, maybe we can do a hybrid too, but primarily the full board. Any other thoughts? Everybody ready to meet in person or stay on Zoom? Indifferent? I see your heads kind of like.
I'm ready to meet in person, but I think the question of location is key, right? What can accommodate a hybrid situation?
Mm-hmm. That would definitely be a determining factor. Margaret?
I agree, and I'm fine to meet in person. And the reason why I mentioned Cupertino, because Clean Energy meets there, and I believe the Clean Energy staff has been working with Cupertino staff to figure out how to do a hybrid meeting in their chambers area. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to follow up with our Clean Energy staffs to see where they are. And, you know, I just thought if they're going to do that, why don't we just piggyback and see if we can use Cupertino too, if they're set up to help to host us or host Clean Energy.
It's a great central location, easy to get to, and it's 4 minutes from my house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, then all the more reason.
Anyway.
So Margaret, then you're going to follow up with them, because I asked Darcy Paul and he said he would look into it, but he hasn't gotten back to me.
Okay. Yeah,
So that's great.
let me ask our Clean Energy staff and see where they are, and I'll let you know.
Okay, I appreciate that. You know, I noticed that every time I throw out San Jose City Hall, I hear nothing but cricket. So I'm gonna just keep moving. Nisa?
So I just wanted to also support moving to hybrid. But Gary, this question would be for you. If the governor does not extend his order past May, I think we're back to where if we're not meeting in person, even with AB 361, would we need individuals to post where they are? I know we had our SBCE meeting a couple of weeks ago, and that came up in planning for the future, that it would revert to the Brown Act, still allow for Zoom meetings or hybrid meetings, but for those meeting in person, wherever they are, remotely, wherever they are, they would have to post the notice. Can you speak to that, Gary?
Yeah, at least right now, as long as we have the grounds for an emergency, which is either state order or local, not order, but guidelines, then we're fine. As long as we continue to declare the emergency, we don't have to comply with that. As long as we continue to pass the resolution every meeting. If we lose both the state emergency and local guidance from the Department of Health, then you're right. I believe you're correct that we can no longer use it. But as of today, and I've been keeping up with this with some other city attorney types, we're still okay. And it's on our agenda for next, what is it, the 14th or whatever it is, the 14th to re-up it for another 30 days. So I don't think we'll lose both, but in the event that we did, yes, it would be difficult to do it without listing your location.
Thanks, Gary. And are we thinking that for the hybrid, President Jones, that we would require quorum in person, or we would be very flexible and, if most people still want to appear remotely, that's fine?
Yeah, I don't envision requiring a quorum in person, at least initially. What we've discovered during COVID is everything is like fluid. So at least starting out, if we can, I wouldn't have an issue of just the people that want to meet in person can do it, and the ones who feel more comfortable meeting remotely can continue to do that, and then at some point figure out if we want to adjust that. All right.
The last thing on location, so Los Altos is open to hosting. I don't think we are as central as Cupertino, so I think Cupertino is a better location. But if for whatever reason Cupertino isn't able to accommodate us, then the Los Altos Community Center is available for us to use.
Thank you. And I'll also follow up with Cupertino too. I mean, I can see Cupertino from my house, so I feel like I have a unique relationship. Okay, so that was informational as well. And next is the Santa Clara County City Managers Association update, and I don't see Sarah here, so she'll give the update at the board meeting. And now we have the executive director update. Joanne?
Okay. I just received an update from the insurer. The underwriter is asking to provide detailed written narrative regarding the two claims, including the steps taken to prevent similar claims from happening in the future. So anyway, I'm going to let, but anyway, that's the update. I'm going to let Gary take over. We lost our insurance. They would not renew. So the original company we had it with said that they did not want to renew with it. So I have been submitting applications for a new insurance company. Gary?
I just wanted the board to be aware that we're bare right now. We have no insurance coverage. And that's going to continue for at least a short period of time. I reached out to a different broker today that happens to handle some of my insurance to see if they would be willing to quote us, and I'll connect Joanne with them if they're in that business.
Okay, Thank you, Gary. Is that it, Joanne?
That's it. That's just an update. We're
Great.
working on it.
Great, thank you. So now the public comments, and Liz, I know you had some input and comments that you wanted to make.
Yeah, thank you. And my comment is just that the selection committee is meeting this coming week, this next meeting, to fill quite a few significant appointments. And I'm feeling a little bit lost because I thought that the board had committed to having a discussion on this, a strategic plan to fill all of the appointments so that Santa Clara County as an entity had the potential to rise to levels of power, executive boards and so forth in all of the organizations. And it would appear, given the fact that there's a meeting on Tuesday of the selection committee, that that discussion isn't going to take place. I realize you can't comment on this, but I'm kind of surprised. And I'm feeling a little personally awkward because my hope was to transition someone in, because I'm termed out, I'm finished in December. And my hope was to try and help someone transition in to the role. And right now, I did not resubmit to re-up for the remaining 6 months. My perspective is I'm trying to think of some way to be supportive of a cities association in all the various organizations, including ABAG. So I just wanted to put that thought and concern out there.
No, Liz, and I appreciate that. And actually, I'll own that. I know that you and I talked, and the plan was to come up with a strategic plan. And no excuses. I've been distracted by some other pressing issues with the Cities Association. Again, no excuse, but we will work on a plan, just not for this next meeting. But again, I own that, and I apologize. All right.
Oh, I have one more thing, Kathy.
Sure.
With the budget, we made some decisions last Friday so that we could have a balanced budget. Do you want to discuss those?
Would that be part of your executive director update?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Then, but before we do, Mariko, did you had a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to see the appointments on Thursday. Are they time sensitive, or can they be pushed back to accommodate a discussion?
Well, there are at least one that I know is time sensitive. I'm not sure, Joanne, if the others are. So we can appoint the ones that are time sensitive and then defer the other ones to a special meeting date. I guess that's one possibility.
If it could, I mean, I'd be curious to see which ones are time sensitive. I know looking at, I don't know who is interested, but they are pretty meaty appointments. And so it might be worthwhile to see if those that can be put off, if we can have those conversations first.
Okay, I will regroup with Joanne and go through each one and try to identify whether there are some that are time sensitive, and if there aren't, then we can make that recommendation to move that meeting out. Nisa?
Vice President Jones, I remember as part of the discussion too with Councilmember Gibbons, it was also to see if we could group the different appointments. So instead of having, 4 different selection committee meetings, we would try to do 2 selection committee meetings per year. And so even if an appointment isn't immediate or urgent, we would still try to have all the upcoming openings together. And so I remember that was part of the discussion as well. So I imagine for next week, it's possible that some of those appointments are not immediate, but I think the idea was in order to avoid having multiple selection committee meetings,
That's
we
correct.
group them together.
That is correct. All right. No other comments on that? Okay, Joanne? You want to
One
talk
of the
about the
biggest,
budget?
yeah, one of the biggest things is that the Cities Association does not have very much money. And if we continued spending the way we were, we'd run out of money halfway through next year. And so we made some, Chappie and I made some decisions to put into a draft proposal that budget that you have, which is one, we didn't want to raise the city's dues, the membership dues, we would keep those the same. And if you do that, then you're going to have to reduce something else because basically last year the board made the decision to use the reserves to pay for the bills that were coming in. So those have been, the reserves have been spent and there is no money going forward. And so you take in about $149,000 in membership dues. So you've got to try to figure out a budget that's going to cost you $149,000. So with that, looking at the number of hours that I've been spending and talking with Rania, who had the position before Andy, we decided to go back to making the executive director a flexible part-time position and reduce the hours. And instead of $110,200, we would look at a wage of $90,000. And then you've got taxes on top of that. So it's about $95,000 to the organization over the year. Another thing would be, we have a bookkeeper, a monthly bookkeeper fee, and we would stop having that service. And we also have a storage facility, and we take the things out of storage, determine what we need to keep, and then you get rid of that fee. So I think it's important to have the discussion to make sure that going forward, that's something you're comfortable with.
Thank you, Joanne. Margaret?
Thank you, President Jones. And I guess to maybe tack on to the budget and what Joanne just explained, I would entertain a conversation. I was going to talk with you, Chappie, about this afterwards, but since it's come up about moving forward and how we want to staff the organization along with other issues as to like what kind of organization we're going to be moving forward. And so I think we need to have that conversation before we make any future staffing decisions. And so, yeah, I was hoping we could do that as probably an executive board sometime soon.
Agreed. Thank you, Margaret. Any other comments? All right. If not, that's it for our agenda. So this meeting is adjourned. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Margaret, I'll call you. I'll call you.
And I'll call you too, Margaret.
Should the three of us talk or?
Oh, I know. Well,
Oh.
we'll get out of this and
Yeah.